Hi, this is Scott from Roland, and I'm here at Craft Music talking about the SYSTEM-8. If you have any questions about the SYSTEM-8 or any other Roland products, feel free to contact the guys at Craft Music. Now, as you may know, the SYSTEM-8 is what we call a plug-out synthesizer. Now, the plug-out concept is that it's essentially 4 synthesizers in one. You have the basic SYSTEM-8 synthesizer sound engine, but you also have what we call plug-outs, where you can actually take a sound that you have from one of our VSTs that we make. We have quite a few of them, and you could plug it into the computer, and then it kind of brings that sound into the SYSTEM-8, and then you could take it out and play it live, and it sort of becomes that instrument. Now, inside here, we have the Jupiter 8 and the Juno 106, in addition to the SYSTEM-8. And there's also a free empty plug-out slot that you can bring in one of the other ones. So it's 4 synthesizers in one. Very powerful, very cool. So what I was thinking we would do today is that we would just kind of dig in to some capabilities and sound functions of the SYSTEM-8. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is just the supersaw waveform. Now, this waveform is something that Roland has sort of become very famous for, and it's kind of taken the original supersaw waveform that we came out with in the JP8000, and we sort of just kind of put it on steroids with the SYSTEM-8. And what the supersaw is, it's just detuning a saw waveform. So originally, it was kind of, it was 7 sawtooths that we detuned, and now it's just gotten more and more thick. So here's the basic saw, and then if I just start to detune it quite a bit. So it becomes, again, that really cool supersaw waveform to the next level. Now, so I have the same sound. Just simply, I'm just going to kind of lengthen the release of the amplifier. And of course, there's a whole bunch of effects on the SYSTEM-8, and there's actually 18 different total number of effects. You can have 3 effects at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this delay chorus, I'm going to kind of do a panning delay here. So now you can tell the sound just got really wide. Okay, very cool. Okay. Now, as well, the oscillators, of course, you have your typical square, saw, triangle, so on and so on. And we also have the super saw, super square, super triangle. But we also have another variation. So you can kind of go more on the FM synthesis side and kind of have maybe more vowels, more FM kind of sound. So it really takes it to a whole nother level. I'm going to go to the variation on both oscillators. Maybe go into the high pass. Open up the resonance a little bit. Now there's also a third oscillator that is a sub. Very cool effects. Now that was just basically from a simple Just a few tweaks, we went from sort of point A to point B, which is pretty drastic. On this next sound, I'm going to play around a little bit with the arpeggiator. Also, I'm going to jump into the high-pass filter and also play around with the color options that I have for oscillators 1 and 2. Now, first of all, I'm just going to start with a simple couple of notes. Nice delay. Just kind of jam with the delay. Open up the high-pass filter. A little bit of resonance. Play around with the oscillator color. Get more of a pluck sound. Crank the resonance. Crank the filter, the cutoff. Now I'm going to add the arpeggiator. Maybe play a little bit with the pitch envelope. The shimmer is amazing. You hear all that high frequency stuff up at the top. It's so clear. So on this sound, it's just a very basic, warm sounding string patch. Nice LFO, long LFO, kind of keeps the flow real nice. So I'm going to take this sound and I'm basically just going to shorten the amp attack so I get a nice sharp attack. Also the release. So right away it went from a real soft pad to something that you can really punch. Play around with the cutoff a little bit. The filter sounds amazing. It's just so sharp, it's so accurate. Play around with the filter envelope. I got that nice swell. All right, now let's play around a little bit with an oscillator sync type sound. The sound right away is amazing. Let's go into the filter variations. Now the filter variations, they take on more of a sideband function. So you're really dealing a lot with the overtones of the sound. So you start to hear all that stuff. And then here's the different sidebands. The colors. Let's go in the oscillator color, and let's change this from, let's open it up just a little bit. You can see how that sideband really starts jumping at you. Add the arpeggiator, the step sequencer. It's really cool when you start to see how, when you're doing a filter sweep, how the filter variation really changes and does some very cool stuff. So here's the original sound. Pretty awesome. It's so cool how it just changes around. Okay, let's take this pedal bass sound. Let's play a little bit with the cutoff. It's huge. Okay, now let's check out the high pass filter. That's buzzing. Awesome. Low pass. Like the high pass. Now let's check out there's really nice, bring in some noise in here. There's white noise and pink noise. You can really get pretty juicy with it. Bring in the arpeggiator. Now with all of the sideband filter variations and the oscillator variations, you can come up with some really cool sound effects. So far we've been hearing just the System 8. Now let's go into the Jupiter plug out. So I'm going to take a very typical Jupiter string sound. I love the way that it develops. It's just exactly like the original Jupiter 8. And the thing that's great is that you have all these effects, which the original Jupiter didn't have. You have all this additional functionality that makes it so much nicer. The filter functionality is exactly the same way as the Jupiter behaved. Incredible LFO section. You can set the envelope, the LFO, to trigger every time you hit the key. It can be free if you want. All of that same flexibility that you've always had with all of the cool Jupiter stuff, and with all the System 8 stuff, it really, really makes this very powerful. Nice Jupiter pulse width brass. The envelope swallows up the sound real nice. Again, very simple Jupiter-esque type sounds, but a much more flexible arpeggiator, of course. Now you also have the Juno 106 plug out. Filter again behaves just like the 106, which is a little bit different than the Jupiter, which is different than the System 8. It's just incredible. Okay, so at this point, we've been just listening to single patches. Now, one of the things that's really nice about the System 8 is that it has a performance mode, and it's essentially the same kind of concept that we used in the original Jupiter 8, which was where you can layer two of the sounds together. You can layer them or you can split them, however you want to do it. But so if you just go into performance mode, and now you have two different sound possibilities. So for instance, I got this sound in the lower end, and I have a totally different sound on the upper side. And you can also decide which ones you want, which of the layers that you want to adjust on the front panel. Right now I have the panel select is set to lower, so it's only going to tweak the lower sound. Or I could tweak the upper sound. Of course, I can have the either one part or both parts on or off. So you have control over both of those elements in their performance. Now, the thing that's really nice is that I can easily go in and select any sound that I want for the upper and lower very quickly. So if I just hold down the lower, and I can just go in and choose one of the sounds. And I got this original System 8 sound. And then if I go to the upper, and I go, you know what? I want to take a sound from the Juno 106 plug out. And maybe I'll do, yeah, this one's good. So now I got two totally different sounds. So it's super usable, very easy, and that's one of the things that's really great about the System 8 is it's just so simple to use. Everything is up front. There's really no like real hidden menus. It's just a lot of fun. It just really just takes a little bit of curiosity to really dig in and have some fun. Now let's go back to the System 8 just a little bit, the System 8 sound engine. And I want to play for you a really cool sound. Now the thing that I really like is that on the System 8 that there's actually a velocity sensitivity knob, and there's also an amplifier velocity sensitivity knob. So right away you can just adjust some really cool things with the filter on velocity or loudness with velocity. Now here, check out this sound. I play very softly, kind of jamming with the delay. Notice the harder I hit it, I get a completely different sound. Just really, really flexible. Okay, now, as you can hear, that there's some really great effects, very cool arpeggiator, there's a vocoder built in, there's chord memory, which is very awesome. There's a step sequencer that's really, really fun and just really useful. Let me show you how the step sequencer works. So I'm going to pick a sound. I got this sound, really cool. And I'm just going to go into step record. Now, as you can see, as soon as I hit step record, all of the step event locations all go blue except for the red, the one that's I'm about ready to record something. So I'll just hit a note. Goes to the next one. Basically just going through all of the elements. Now I can have up to 4 measures if I want. This one is just 16 elements, so it's going to be 1 measure long. So what I just programmed in there, I can mute things. Now I can also change the way this is going in real time. I can change the last step of this element. I'm going to go and put all these back mute. Hold down the last step. Now it's just going to jam between these 2 elements. And I could keep changing this as I want. And that's really cool, because if I had a constant drum loop going, it just feels like the groove is constantly evolving. Now I can also change the first step. So now it's jamming between these 2 elements. Tempo. I can also play around with the gate time. Which is really nice. I can also change the direction that the sequence is playing. Right now it's just going back and forth. I can go backwards. Random. There's all kinds of things that you can do. I can also change the scale. Right now, it's at 16th notes. I can change it to 32nd notes, quarter note triplets, eighth note triplets, 16th note triplets, eighth notes, and so on. So it's just super, super flexible. Again, what we want to happen when you're playing the System 8 is we just want you to be completely creative and just have a lot of fun. And, happy mistakes, amazing planned elements happen all of the time. But the great thing is that you are completely free from being tangled up in synthesis. You're just having fun with this instrument. Now, I hope this video really gave you some ideas on maybe how to use it, how to really dive into some of the creative aspects of it, and just the sheer power and beauty. If you have any other questions on the System 8 or any other Roland products, feel free to contact the guys at Craft Music. The thing that's great is that you have all these effects, which the original Jupiter didn't have, but you have all this other functionality that just make it so much nice.
So much nice?
Yeah.